Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Albers, and welcome to This Week in Anderson on the Big Guy Sports Podcast on USBN Sports. And joined with always as my co-host Steve Ellis. And Steve, you and I are pretty got to be pretty pumped. You and I, when we were growing up, we always heard about our guest, Rich Dotson, and growing up, we always, we got to follow his career. We always watched him and listened. So it's pretty exciting to have Rich join us here tonight.
It is, and we're going to dissect a little bit about his playing career at Anderson, and from all the circles of all the people that before us, Danny, and after us, I would say there's an argument that our guest here might be one of the top 5 athletes to ever go through Anderson.
Absolutely, there's no question about it. I did a bunch of research on him too as well, and Rich, first of all, thanks for joining us. And you've had a stellar career at Anderson High School, not only in basketball but baseball. First-round pick of the California Angels, 12-year Major League career, All-Star. You're in the Anderson Hall of Fame. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
And so let's kind of get into to Anderson, playing at Anderson High School in your days at Anderson playing sports. Obviously, you were a great baseball player, but you were also a great basketball player. I believe you were an all-star at both sports. Talk a little bit about growing up at Anderson and playing sports at Anderson High School.
I grew up. I was in Bethel. I lived in Bethel until I was in 2nd grade. Then I moved to Newtown in 3rd grade. So got me in the area. To Newtown, playing basketball. I actually played for Reed Sunoco back in the day. Nice. His dad was our coach, and with that got kind of mixed in with Fred Zisler, Fritz, KSC baseball. So they didn't really have select teams back then, but I got on 2 pretty good teams, and so that was kind of like the start of being in the and being a part of all that Anderson stood for. We used to have some pretty good baseball teams and basketball teams back in the day.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And I know, like you said, they didn't have that select baseball back in the day, and having and what you accomplished, not having that select baseball is pretty impressive too.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like when I turned 16, I tried out for Midland. Of course, Joe Hayden coached the Midland team in Anderson back in the day. And, we didn't play for Midland, and we liked to beat them all the time, which we did. When I became 16, I tried out for the Cardinals, Midland Cardinals, and I played for the Cardinals and the Brace, the other team, the 2 teams. Midland, of course, they had a great program. Billy Dorn was a teammate of mine, Scott Moneyhoff, Jimmy Rose. I mean, I can go on. There's a lot of guys that came off that team that were pretty good.
Yeah.
So Rich, when you were at Anderson playing baseball, and fill us in here on the fact that you got drafted, out of high school to go play and pitch in the majors. But when you were in high school, didn't you lead the city in home runs?
Yeah, my junior year, actually. I had a really good year my junior year. I was hitting pretty good. I think actually I tied with Leon Durham for the home run.
Oh, wow. So who was your coach back then, Rich?
Neiman.
That's what I thought. Yep.
Which is always a story that I like to tell. Because, the White Sox and the Dodgers share the same complex in Glendale, Arizona.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, Joe Torre was down. We're playing the Dodgers, right, in spring training. So Joe Torre's down there with Sandy Koufax. And I remember Mr. Neiman, I guess, went to UC. And Sandy Koufax also went to UC at the time. And, Mr. Neiman would talk about, I guess, Sandy Koufax hit him in the head with a fastball.
That's right.
Something to that effect. So I ran. And, of course, unless you're in front of them all, and they're looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, hey, Joe, how you doing? You don't remember me. I'm Richard Dotson. Did blah, blah, blah. And then I said, Sandy, I just want to say, hello. and I played for a guy that played with you, who evidently you hit him in the head. He was our coach. I always thought that was fun. It was funny, and I'm sure I just ran off right after that. And they probably thought, boy.
I think I remember. I think I remember him telling that story. I had him for gym class years later. I think I remember him telling that story. That must have been his claim to fame.
Yes. He was a good coach. We had a good team. Jack Kaczynski, and then we had Jack and Mark Reed, Becker, Ellie. I don't know if Elliot played baseball that year or not, but we had a great team. We had a good team.
And didn't you at least one time hit a home run on top of Anderson Middle School?
Well, no. What it was, it's, because Kroger's now is closer.
Right.
It might have been on Kroger's. Actually, I had 3 home runs that game, and it was against a guy that I played with in Midland, Al Napier. And I think Northwest or one of those teams over there on the other side of town. And I hit 2 of them. Back in the day, it was a paved parking lot with a basketball court.
Right.
Well, it bounced on top of the roof.
Okay. I got you.
I mean, there aren't too many I hit real far like that. That was one of them.
That's a good shot. So, when you played basketball, and I know you guys had a couple good seasons, and you were all league, and you played for I think it was Dick Sanders, if I'm correct. If that's correct, tell us about playing for Dick Sanders.
Well, it was awesome. And I try to tell Dick that when I talk to him or text him. He's a big influence on me. He's a very talented basketball player, which he didn't really talk about a lot. And, he was very intense. Now, we had good teams because that Reed Sunoco team, we basically then went into 7th grade, and from 7th, 8th, and 9th, I think we lost 1 game.
Oh, wow.
Like 8th grade, we're undefeated. Very, very good. And then, of course, once we got to high school, and then Bridgetown and Delhi combined to make Oak Hills, they were our next.
Sure.
I said yes. But, it was great. I mean, we averaged like 80-something points a game.
Wow. That's before the 3-point line.
Have 3-pointers back in the day. You got the ball, and we were pretty good. We had some good teams, really good teams.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Rich, right out of high school, basically got out of high school, your 1st-round pick, 7th overall, with the California Angels. It's obviously got to be the highest, pick of Anderson high school history. And, 2 years later, you're in Major League Baseball at the age of 20. Talk about that. That has just got to be crazy that, you're getting out of high school and here you are and you're that high of a pick. And then at 20, you're in the major leagues.
Yeah. And actually, my first start was against the Angels. So they drafted in 79. My first start was against them, which I did very well. I think I went 1 2/3 and gave up 4. But imagine how I felt because 2 years out of high school, they traded me the year they drafted me. They can't do that with, I guess, number 1 picks now. But that year I got traded with Barry Bonds and Thad Bosley to the White Sox, and then the Angels got Downing, Frost, and Knapp.
Wow.
So, my first year, I played rookie ball. The next year I played Double-A. Tony La Russa's first year managing ever, he was my Double-A coach. Ended up winning the Southern League. And then, of course, the next year I went back to Knoxville. I played in Knoxville, Tennessee in the Southern League. And I had to learn a change, something off speed. I threw hard. And my breaking ball wasn't efficient enough or consistent enough. And I went back to Double-A. At the end of that year, I got called up. It was great. So, the Angels got me. And then my next start, I shut out the Oakland A's in a complete game shutout. So it made up for the first one, I guess, a little bit.
That's great. So I know you know these stats, I'm sure, Rich, but I want to, share these with Danny and everybody else that's going to be watching this. But, you had some great numbers that for, a guy coming from Anderson High School was awesome to hear about. So you had a 12-year career where you had 111 wins and you pitched over 1,800 innings and you were just shy of 1,000 strikeouts, which is amazing. And in 1980, you had some votes for Rookie of the Year, which I'm sure is pretty rare for a pitcher. And 83, you were 22-7, and led the team to the playoffs for the first time in years. And you had some votes that year for the Cy Young. I mean, that's a pretty solid career right there.
It was I was very fortunate. Actually, Rookie of the Year in '80, my teammate won Rookie of the Year, Britt Burns. He was a high school kid out of Alabama. Very good. He won 15 games that year. And then, he was really good. And then the year that I won 22, my teammate, Lamar Hoyt, won 24. And he won Cy Young. So, which he kind of deserved for sure.
Yeah.
He had a good score, and I don't think he even got a vote. Because he won the year before, I think he won 19 games in '82, but like 11 of them were out of the pen. Like he was the crucial situations, and it seemed like he was the guy when he came in the game. He shut him down, and we scored. He won.
Score, yeah.
Dude, he's 19-10 or 11 or something like that. The next year, he's 24-10.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely deserved it. It was fun.
So funny question for you, Rich, is, from what I remember, and I don't know if it was the year you guys went to the playoffs or if it was the year before that or not, but talk a little bit about the rare occasion of you guys wearing shorts.
Oh, well, Bill Veeck owned the White Sox when I came over.
Yeah.
And Bill was an innovator in baseball. So, he didn't have much money during the 70s and, early 80s. And so he introduced the shorts, in 76, I think, that whole uniform.
Okay.
I did wear the shorts in AA.
Oh.
They only wore the shorts, I think, one time in the big leagues or something that season.
Okay.
So, where, if you're in the South and it's 100 degrees and the humidity is 90, shorts are not. I enjoyed it as a pitcher. The players hated it.
Yeah.
Of course, when I got to the big leagues, we were wearing that particular uniform,
Right.
which was usual to say the least.
Oh, I bet. I mean, when you look at everybody else, and so it's a little different. So how about, the course of your career, how about who were some of the like some of the Hall of Famers you played against and played with? Because you obviously over 12 years, you played with a ton of players, but who were some of your favorite guys you got to play with and play against?
Well, guys I played with, I'd say Greg Luzinski, the Bull from Philadelphia. Yep. And a lot of these guys, like Tom Seaver did well there, but some of them were towards the end of their career. But I got to play with Steve Carlton.
Carlton Fisk.
Carlton Fisk, of course.
Yep.
Harold Baines. Harold and I came up together. He's in the Hall of Fame. And then the guys, of course, even the other guys, it's Winfield, Henderson, you can just go right down the list as far as position players.
Yeah.
That are in Walter Yount. I mean, there's some good guys. Cal Ripken,
Rod Carew. Yeah.
Yes, that's it's funny because I did get to pitch against Rod, not only with the Angels. I think I him in Minnesota too, but I might not have. But that was always a great thing. Once you got to the big leagues, all of a sudden you're playing guys. I used to go to the game and watch.
Right.
So now,
right.
I'm facing the real guys now. It was fun. you know, in spring training back then, we had spring training in Sarasota. So, you know, we played the Reds or the Phillies and stuff, and I got to play against some of the big red machine guys and stuff like that. It was always fun.
Talk, you know, like what Steve said, feeding off of that, talk a bit about like maybe a guy that you like owned, or a guy that, you know, was a big name that you maybe, you know, he could not hit against you, or maybe even on the flip side, that someone that on the flip side that owned you then.
I'm sure, you know, in that 12 years of my career, I got hurt, and the last 3 or 4 weren't real fun. So like, it's got to the Hall of Fame, it seemed like. But I guess I did really good against Dave Winfield, Kirby Puckett. I mean,
Right.
I'll look into that now, but I've been told. Wade Boggs got his first hit off of me, which he told me that. So that's, I mean, and then there was like, back in the day, Cecil Cooper. I used to say Cecil Cooper. He played for the Brewers back in the Brew Crew age. You know, Cecil Cooper was a guy back then would hit 30 home runs, drive in 120, and hit 330. And there weren't too many of those guys. And he was like the first guy that I remember, like, that guy's a really tough out. But, you know, it depends. I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, the stars are stars, and, you know, you're working.
Right,
Yep.
right. And you another big thing that you had to do is, you know, you played in an all-star game, and you also obviously in the playoffs. What was that like for you? And then also, like you said, I think Tony La Russa was your manager. Talk a little bit about playing in the all-star game and then also playing in the playoffs.
You know, the all-star game was a great treat. It was in San Francisco. I lived in Northern California at the time, so I actually got to go home and be with my family. And it was just a great experience. I think it was that all-star game has the highest total strikeouts in any all-star game, because they started at 5 o'clock or something. And the park weren't real good for hitting. So, you know, that was a great experience. And then, of course, the playoffs was unbelievable. I think it was the first time in 24 or 25 years the White Sox had gotten to the playoffs. So the city just went nuts. Chicago, there's a lot of White Sox fans in Chicago. And it was great. It was just, I mean, it was amazing. We had a great run. We actually had in baseball that year. We had 99 wins. I don't think anybody else had more wins than we did. But our nemesis was the Baltimore Orioles. I think that was the only team during the season we lost the series to. And actually, that year that I was 22-7, I pitched 2 games against the Orioles during the season, gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, and lost both games.
Oh, jeez.
One was a 1-hitter, and the other one was like a 2-hitter. Man, I lost both of them.
Wow.
Way deep the first inning. Imagine I wasn't real happy at that point.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of crazy. And I know one thing, and how I got actually a hold of you is kind of want to talk about after your major league career. You got, obviously you're coaching right now, but you had the privilege of coaching my little brother that I used to beat the crap out of all the time, and Timmy. And talk a little bit about how you got into coaching and coaching also at Anderson High School.
It was kind of in real estate at the time, and Paul Campbell got hired to take the job, I think.
Yep.
And so Paul and I got hooked up together. And, you know, Mr. Ellis, and then there was another nice guy that always worked out, like coach-wise. And, of course, we didn't get whatever I would have gotten paid went back to whoever, Paul or the program. I know I had bought 2 or 3 portable mounds. I try to help the program, because things have changed a lot since, we were kids, for sure. And so, it was a great opportunity. We had good teams. I think the 2 or 3 years we won 20-something games every year. It was fun. It was really fun. And then I just so happened to went up to Toledo, see the Mud Hens, the AAA team in 2002. There's a couple friends I had up there from baseball, and just kind of fell into a job, actually, late May, that there was an opening in rookie ball in Bristol, Tennessee for the White Sox. And I went ahead and took it for the summer, and we ended up winning, the Appalachian League. And this year's my 19th year doing it. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I'm very fortunate.
That's crazy. Yeah, and I think that's how Timmy ended up getting together with you. He was down in Florida, I think, and you were down there, I guess, in Pensacola, maybe. Is that how he got together with you?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's good. This year has been kind of strange for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are you guys doing now? I mean, because there's no season for the minor leagues. Do you get to go help scout, or what do you do?
Actually, Jerry Reinsdorf's been really good for us. I mean, we're still getting paid through the end of August. They could have, but May. I have a group of pitchers that I usually do a Zoom call with once a week, and they're guys that are at home too, and so we'll just go for certain things. With White Sox have really gotten big into analytics the last couple of years. They're kind of behind, and so we're just doing all these different type of techniques, coaching techniques. We're giving them better information where they can kind of assess themselves a little bit better too. I mean, because you can break up spin rates and all this, and it's like, son, if you can't spin the ball, I mean, you might think you have a good breaking ball. This is not a major league breaking ball. So those type of things. And, we're trying to keep busy. Hopefully, talking about doing something maybe in September or October, but, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, so we kind of try to wrap this up a little bit. We try to talk about some of the things like to give to you, and I guess I should have probably prepared you for this a little bit better, but we always try to talk about like is there a favorite high school memory, a major league memory, and then maybe as a coach too?
Jeez. High school, the high school memories, I mean, just playing sports at Anderson, it's funny because I guess they decided what the name is going to be now.
No, right now they have no name. It's just unfortunately there's no name right now.
I was proud to be at Anderson at the time and proud to be a Redskin at the time. And I can understand that it offends people and all that. But, I always thought it like a badge of honor. Just coming from that part of town and the people I was able to play with, in high school. And like, the big leagues, I mean, hey, it was all a dream. It's the big leagues. It's fun.
Yeah.
Fun, and there's a lot of pressure. And you got to be, it's a man's game. I mean, you've got to be ready. I started most of my career, you learn quickly that every 5 days it's on, because you're playing the best of the best. So, you learn a lot. Sometimes it's successful.
Did you have a memory of just recently, being the coach or anything like that? Is there either when you were coaching at Anderson or in the minors?
Well, in the minors, I've had several guys that make it to the big leagues, and we watched the Chicago team now. There's a lot of guys on that team that I've had. I think it's just being in baseball and coming, being able to give back something to the guys, and hopefully, they get their chance. It's a hard game. Guys get weeded out. And I got something pretty interesting that you might like to know. I just found out because I did Ancestry DNA, which, the surprise. And that my biological father, was a guy named Richard Farrell. He played 15 years in the big leagues, made the All-Star team 5 times. I just found this out 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it might be genetic.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And I've got two half sisters that live in Houston. I got an aunt that lives in Boston's cousins. I found out that I'm 70% Irish, and I've got 1,000 cousins in Ireland because my to the United States in the 50s. And the grandfather, Farrell, he was Irish also. So yeah, I've got a lot to catch up on.
Wow.
That's a great that's a pretty great story.
It's pretty neat. My half sister Kathy, who I've not met yet, she sent me two things, and they were both gifts from the All-Star game. One was I think it was the '58 All-Star game. The other was the '65 All-Star game. One's a huge silver bowl with a huge tray and 12 silver serving cups. It's really cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to her. And now I'm just trying to find out, trying to get the word out to whoever played with Dick. They used to call him Turk, Turk, Turk Farrell. Tried to get in contact because I'm sure the coaches that I had with the White Sox back when I played, they knew him. I mean, my career, they all knew him because I had Paul Richards, the minor league director, and I know Paul coached him in Baltimore, I think. So yeah, this is something new that I'll hopefully find some more cool stuff out.
Well, Rich, that's gonna make me and Steve now go on Ancestry to find out if we got anything like that too, because that's pretty cool.
And my dad just passed away last year, the year before, and I remember I showed him a picture of Turk. I go, you know who this guy is? And he didn't talk real well at the time, but he pointed right at me, and I go, well, no, that's not me, because I wanted to know if he knew. He didn't know. So yeah, it's something else. So there you go.
That's a great. Thank you for sharing it. That's pretty cool, man. I appreciate that. And Steve, you got anything else here? We're gonna try to wrap this up. We don't take too much of your time, Rich. And I know one thing. The people in Anderson, like I said in the beginning, Steve and I, when we were little kids and we were playing baseball and growing up, we always heard about you. Everybody talked about Rich Dotson, and I do remember back, in the 80s watching you and rooting like heck for you because, the connection of Anderson, and it's a connection that we all kind of share together when we all go to the same high school. And I know it meant a lot to us. I know that people at Anderson just still talk about you to this day. You agree, Steve? I mean, it's
Yep.
Growing up, it was crazy how, everybody it was about Rich Dotson and what he did. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can't forget Pat Tabler, although he went to McNick. So, we understand that. It's so funny now to see the rivalries have kind of changed so much. The McNick-Anderson thing was so big. And then, of course, you guys don't – I know you might want to shut this down, but, my senior class at Anderson actually went to Turpin.
Right.
Because they had the blizzards and the whatever it was. So we were actually the first senior class at Turpin. It was the class of '77 at Anderson.
Wow.
We'll go ahead and cut that off. We won't let people know that.
That's good info.
Yes, it is. No, but Steve, I mean, you obviously you remember all that too, growing up with him and knowing Rich and hearing about him. It was really cool, wasn't it?
It's really cool. In fact, I told a few people, that we were going to have this interview today, and they were, super excited, because I'm glad we're doing this, Danny, because, especially for Rich, it's part of a generation that may or may not know Rich, besides a plaque up on the wall at Anderson because he's in the Hall of Fame. But, I want to get the word out there because I firmly believe that, Rich is probably one of the top 5, for sure, top 10 athletes to go through Anderson. And so it's an honor, Rich, to talk to you and for you to come on with us. So I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. And hopefully things will get normal. We can go to games and I'll see you.
Yeah, hey, Rich, real quick, I just want to see, real quick on, did you ever have the opportunity or did you know Brownie, Charles Brown at all? Did you get an opportunity to be with him?
You mean the Mr. Brown from Brown Stadium?
Yes.
Yes, he was teaching substitute teaching or something back then. And it's funny too because and I can't think of her whole name, Aunt Mick. I don't know if you went to Anderson or were in the grade school system. There was a lady, and she lived in Newtown. She had a riding stable off of 32. Aunt Mick, that's what we used to call her. And I think she taught in Anderson for like 60-something years, or maybe even more. Yeah, I was, it's so funny too because you're bringing all this stuff up, and then like I did chorus, and I had Mr. West, who was a fantastic. We always had really good chorus program, and there's a lot of nice things at Anderson. We're very fortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. You've been very awesome with your time, Rich. We really appreciate it. I know my brother, if it wasn't for my brother, I don't know if we would have pulled this off. So he talks very highly of you. He loved as you as a coach, and we really appreciate you taking the time to join us here today. So for Dan Albert, Steve Ellison, Rich Dotson, you've been listening to This Week in Anderson. We'll catch you next week.